What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here, and in this video I'm bringing you the final video in the 3-part series on what every exotic class item perk does on every class. These videos took an immense amount of effort, from farming the roles to doing all the testing on every character to editing it. And the Hunter had the most testing out of all of them because I was curious about some unique interactions. This was a massive undertaking, so if you would leave a like on the video, that would mean a lot to me. It helps boost the video, and I guarantee that everyone who watches these videos will learn something. And subscribe for more awesome and informative content. We're close to 50,000 and I would love to hit that mark soon. Anyways, we have 16 exotic perks to get through, so let's get to it. First up is Spirit of the Assassin. Assassin's Cowl states powered melee final blows grant invisibility and restore a portion of health and shields. Finishers and final blows against more powerful targets increase the duration of the invisibility and the amount of health and shields restored. Where the Spirit version does not give the health bump, but everything else about it remains the same. The timer is longer for the higher tier of enemy you defeat, and they must be powered melee final blows. Next, we have Caliban's Hand. The exotic states your proximity knife scorches targets it damages with its explosions, or ignites targets on final blows. After throwing a proximity knife, you gain increased melee regeneration until the knife explodes. So I would argue that Spirit of the Caliban is even better. Now, powered melee final blows will trigger an ignition, but we aren't limited to proximity knife. Now, any of our 5 melee options can cause an ignition, which is extremely powerful. And you can pair this with Spirit of the Synthoceps so your melees deal more damage and can reliably kill enemies in endgame content with a melee. This perk, more than any other, I think is actually better than the base version. You just lose the passive melee regen, but with Gambler's Dodge that's not a problem. And with Threaded Spike you can get tons of melee energy back for catching it, and Withering Blade can give you 2 melee charges. It's just a wonderful perk to get on the class item. Next is 6 Coyote. Gain a second dodge charge. Shortly after dodging, your next weapon final blow spawns an orb of power, where the Spirit perk just gives 2 dodges. So all the main version gives is the mod Reaper, which is nice, but the double dodge is excellent and until very recently was exactly how 6 Coyote worked anyways. So this perk is nice because our dodges can give us so much utility. Another awesome Spirit perk. Next we have Cyrtarachne's Facade. Gain Woven Mail when activating Grapple. Increase flinch resistance while Woven Mail is active, where the Spirit perk just gives Woven Mail and no flinch resist. So again, we get the best part of the exotic. And again, you can argue that it's even better than the base version because it will work with any grenade in the prismatic kit. So this is another great Spirit perk, as having 10 seconds of basically on-demand Woven Mail is great for survivability. Next is Dragon's Shadow. Dodging reloads all weapons and increases both movement and weapon handling speeds for a brief time, where Spirit of the Dragon just doesn't give the movement speed increase, which again is whatever. Sure, it's nice, but people run Dragon Shadow for the free reload and the handling bonus feels so nice. I love my weapons to ready and stow quickly, and this may be the biggest handling modifier in the game. It makes your weapons feel buttery smooth, and this is actually quite strong in DPS phases. Another great Spirit perk. Man, Hunter is really eating good. Next is Foetracer. Damaging a powerful combatant or guardian with an ability temporarily increases weapon damage of the same type. Defeating that marked target with damage that matches the element creates an elemental pickup, where the Spirit version doesn't do the elemental pickup part. And to be completely honest, I forgot the regular version even did that. Everyone just uses Foetracer for the damage increase, and again, the Spirit perk gets the best part of the exotic. This is actually very strong and could be really good for DPS scenarios. You get a ×4 weapon surge, which is a 25% damage increase, the highest surge buff in the game. But I wanted to test every single thing about this to see how it worked with Prismatic. So first, what doesn't work? It doesn't give you the weapon bonus if it's a red or orange bar, and Grapple Grenade will not give you Strand Surge for some reason. Another disappointing thing is Gunpowder Gamble does not work, and neither does the slow dodge from your Winter Shroud. Now for what does work. Ascension works, Threaded Spectre works, and your Transcendent Grenade will give you both Solar and Stasis Surge, so that's pretty awesome. Overall, this is quite a strong exotic perk if you build around it, and this is the reason I say these videos take a ton of time in testing. There's just so many things to consider. Next is another one that took a ton of testing. Shards of Galanor states throwing knife final blows decrease the cooldown of your super. Hits and final blows with Blade Barrage will return super energy after the super ends, where the Spirit version doesn't give a quicker cooldown on your super for knife kills, but it does return super energy for hits and final blows. So I'll just let a bunch of the testing play out so you can see the types of returns that you get. I tested on groups of ads at Cyrtarachne and then on Cowl for a single hit on a target so you can see both types of scenarios. Enjoy. So yeah, Spirit of Galanor is really freaking good. Like I said, probably better than base because you aren't just limited to Blade Barrage. Next we have Gyrfalcon's Perk. Your void weapons gain volatile rounds after you emerge from being invisible. When you are invisible and defeat a combatant while using a finisher, all of your weapons gain bonus damage, you and your nearby allies gain a reserve overshield and improved class ability regeneration. These reserve overshields can be deployed by using a class ability. So again, I feel like a lot of people forget about what all this exotic does and just remember the part that the Spirit perk gives, which is your void weapons gain volatile rounds after you emerge from being invisible, which is very strong, but it does basically mean that you have to run Stylus Executioner, but that's fine. I actually soloed a GM with Spirit of Gyrfalcon and Galanor and it worked great. It's a super good roll if you're lucky enough to get it to drop. Next is Heart of Inmost Light. Using an ability empowers the other two abilities. Empowered means abilities have faster regen, melees and grenades do more damage, and barricades have more hit points, where the Spirit version gives no ability damage increase, but just gives us a quicker cooldowns for our abilities, which is still really nice. And with how quick our dodge cooldown can be, and Gambler's Dodge giving melees back, you truly can just spam your abilities if you have this perk. Plus, Gunpowder Gamble works with this as well, so even more abilities to feed into your other abilities. Again, a great Spirit perk. Liar's Handshake states using your arc melee ability or being hit by a melee attack will allow you to follow up with an extremely powerful melee counterpunch that will heal you, where the Spirit version does not give the healing. I also tested this with a non-arc melee and it does not buff your charged melee damage. Not that anyone was running this without combination blow anyways, but I figured I would check. Next is Ophidian Aspect. Weapons ready and reload very quickly and provides a small benefit to the airborne effectiveness stat of all weapons, where the Spirit version just gives a higher handling to your weapons. It's still nice for general play, PvP, and DPS scenarios. Next is Renewal Grasps. Your Duskfield grenades have a much larger radius. Allies inside the Duskfield gain frost armor, and targets inside the area deal reduced damage, where the Spirit perk just gives the last part of the perk, the frost armor and the enemies dealing reduced damage. It does not give us a bigger Duskfield grenade, but overall it's still pretty decent, especially in harder content. Next is Star Eater Scales. You gain additional super energy from orbs of power you pick up. While your super energy is full, picking up an orb of power overcharges your super, causing you to gain a burst of healing when cast and a bonus to your super damage. At maximum overcharge, you also gain an overshield, where the Spirit perk again just gives us the best part, which is increased super damage. A 70% increase to our super damage at max stacks of Feast of Light. I'll just let the base supers and the enhanced supers play side by side so that you can see the difference. Next is Synthoceps. When you're surrounded, gain increased melee and super damage, as well as improved weapon handling and reload speed, where the Spirit version just gives the melee damage increase. This works with all of our melees, including glaive melees and even grapple melee. And you can even combine it with other things like tether and stylus execution to absolutely melt bosses. Overall, another very strong Spirit perk. Next is Verity's Brow. Weapon final blows with a damage type matching your grenade grant death throws, which provide a grenade damage bonus and grant you grenade energy. When you have death throws and throw a grenade, nearby allies gain greatly increased grenade regeneration for a short time. The Spirit version basically just gets all the benefits that death throws provides. The quicker grenade regen and the stacking damage bonus up to double damage. This also works with our Transcendence and grapple grenades. And it even works with Gunpowder Gamble, which is super fun and awesome. So once again, another great Spirit perk, especially for hunters. And that brings us to our final Spirit perk, Wormhusk Crown. Interestingly, this is the only exotic that does the same in the Spirit version as it does the regular version. It states dodging gives a small health and shield bump, and the Spirit version reads the same. I tested both and it seems to give the same amount of health back. I didn't do any pixel counting or anything, but just went by the eyeball test. Overall, this is probably only useful in PvP. You can do a lot better on Hunter with the other perks as this video showcased. And that is it for the video. I hope it was helpful and informative, and if it was, then a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. And if you're still watching, then thanks so much for watching to the end. It means a lot. Like I said, this series took a ton of time and effort, so I genuinely hope it helps you to better understand what these perks do. I'm going to be farming the god rolls that I want now that I have a better understanding of the perks, and then I will give my vault a good cleaning, and then move on to the next big testing project that I want to do. I can't wait to share it with you. Anyways, thanks so much if you're still here. I appreciate it. Take care.